up, you guys? The Curious Owl here, and today I have my August TBR. To be a little bit more of a jam-packed month because there's a lot of readathons going on in the course of August. One that I'm actually kind of sad is not happening in August and was pushed to September is the next round of Aurelium. The next round of the Aurelium month-long round is pushed to September, which is fine. It's not that big of a deal considering that there are other readathons going on that I know a lot of people really want to participate in and that I'm excited to participate in. One of which is Battlethon, which goes on over the entire month and basically is just how well do you like your books, and the star rating then is converted into points and it goes towards your team, which that's pretty exciting. I really liked how that went last year, and so I'm very excited for this round again. We also have the Full Moon Readathon that is being hosted by Jan from Jan Agaton, and also the Llamas Readathon that is being hosted by Sam over at Yarn Readers. So very excited for all of this, but before we get into the readathon specific books, let's go over all my book club reads that I've got going on for this month coming up. First of which is my Witcher read-along series. We are finally in the final book of this read-along. This will be the last book for the year, and then we are done with the read-along with Season of Storms. Now, this is not the biggest book that there is in the series. The last book, which was The Lady of the Lake, was the biggest book, but this is the very last book and is essentially kind of like an epilogue story essentially for the main series. This essentially follows after the events of The Lady of the Lake, which was a very awesome way to end the story. I was very happy with how overall everything ended up going, but this is kind of like the afterword of everything that happens in that series, and so very excited to see kind of what Geralt gets up to in this book. But yeah, this one is much smaller than the last one, which was over 500 pages. This one is just over 400. It's 419 pages, so this will definitely be a lot faster to go through because it did feel like The Lady of the Lake took so much longer because it was so much bigger than the rest of the books. Next, for the book club that is with my mom and my sister, we had started Ninth House in July, and so we will be moving on to Hellbent in the month of August. Now, I have already finished Ninth House. Both my mom and my sister are still working on it, so I'm going to give this one a little bit of time, but I do want to jump into this one like really quickly, as soon as I can, because I really liked Ninth House a lot. But this is the second book in the Ninth House duology, or the Alex Stern duology, and I am very excited for how this one's going to go because of how the end of Ninth House set up this one, and so I'm beyond excited to see how this one's going to go. I think I'm going to really like it considering how much I liked Ninth House, but we shall see. And then for the last one, we have the membership book club with Brandy from Books with Brandy Shanae. We do a membership group book club every month, and so we've been working slowly through the Bone Shard Daughter series by Andrea Stewart, and we are going to be getting into the final book in that series, the Bone Shard War, which I'm very excited for because I was pretty lukewarm about the Bone Shard Daughter, but I really enjoyed the Bone Shard Emperor a lot more, so I think that this one's going to be just as good, if not better, than book 2, which is interesting because usually I like the first book in a series more than I do the second book, but this one, it was kind of flip-flopped, so I'm curious to see how the final book in the series is going to go for me personally. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the readathons that are going on in the month of August. So like I said, Battleathon is going on. This is hosted by Mel from Melanor Reads. This one doesn't have really a specific TBR because it really is dependent on what your TBR you set for the month is, and essentially what you rate the books that you end up reading over the course of the month. The best one being obviously 5 stars, gives you the most points, but then you get bonus points for things that involve your different houses, personal like prompts and stuff like that. I'm going to be a part of the House of Stars, and for this I get bonus points if my books have the word stars in the title, which it doesn't really, unfortunately. None of my books that I had picked out for this month so far have the word star in the title, but you know, we'll see if we get any in the course of the month that do end up having that. But yeah, so the star rating is really the biggest thing for this one, and you do have the ability to DNF, but it has to be either 50% or 200 pages, whichever comes first in your book, and then you only get about 50 points for those books. So my goal is to obviously get through as much as I can and hopefully find some really good reads. I would really like to say that this month will be a good month where like I'm going to really love everything, but I don't always set that expectation for myself because I don't ever want to really be let down. I have some really highly anticipated reads, but I don't know whether I would say any of them are going to be like anticipated 5 stars because I'm a little leery of doing that because I feel like I set myself up to fail. But with that, let's go first into the Full Moon Readathon. This is a 2-week readathon hosted by Jan from Jan Agaton, and this is very much centered around her full moon aspects that she has with her lair. This, like I said, it's 2 weeks, and you pick which team you want to be on. I decided to go with Team Raven, and there are 3 prompts for this, 2 reading prompts and 1 more kind of like activity prompt of sorts. The activity prompt for us is, for the Raven team, is more of just journaling, which I bullet journal all the time. I am constantly updating it with things that I read and things like my page counts and everything, so that's an easy thing for me to do. But the other ones are to read a classic, which I'm going to be picking The Raven from my collection of Edgar Allan Poe because this team is inspired by The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, so I will be reading The Raven for that. It's one of my favorite poems of all time, and I absolutely adore Edgar Allan Poe. I love all of his writing. I seriously fell in love when I first read his work when I was a sophomore in high school, and that has not changed. Then there is a book for an author that we love, which, going with that, I ended up going with a thriller by an author I absolutely adored her debut, and I have been so excited for this one since especially I went to the signing. So this is Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Ferida Abike Iyamide. This is a signed copy that I have that I got from Ferida when I met her a few months ago when she was with Angeline Booley, and I just am so excited for this. I've been excited for it for the longest time and trying to find a reason where I could read this, and I think now is the perfect time, especially because thrillers and horrors are definitely something that Jan does really like in general, and so this would definitely be the perfect time to read this, other than reading it during like spooky season kind of thing, which either one works for me. I don't really care, but very excited to finally get through this and see what I think of it because I've heard so many good things about it and I cannot wait. And finally, we have the Llamas Readathon, which is being hosted by Sam from Yarn Reader. This one is only a week-long readathon going from the 1st to the 7th of the month in celebration of the Llamas season, which I also have my candles and my wax mails available for the Llamas season, the Llamas specific ones available. They are 30% off right now on my website at owlsnestapothecary.com. So if you would like to get your own wax melt or candle for the Llamas season to celebrate the energies of the harvesting time coming in and bring in those great late summer, early fall energies, go check those out. But for the Llamas Readathon, there are 3 reading prompts specifically that I'm going to be doing. The first of which is to read a book with either orange, yellow, brown, or green on the cover, those very harvesty kinds of colors. And for this, I'm going to go with my library copy of Come and Get It by Kylie Reid. I have not read Such a Fun Age as of yet, but I have heard that this one in particular is very, very good, and obviously Such a Fun Age I heard was really good as well, but I have heard that this one was just as good, if not better, so I'm very excited to try to get through this one. The next prompt is the Stone Carnelian, which is to read a book that sparks a fire in you. For this, I'm going with The Weavers of Alamaxa by Hadir El-Spy. This is the second book in the Daughters of Izdihar series, which follows a fantasy world where women are very much kind of looked down upon, especially those that are magic wielders, and it's very much a feminist kind of story where women start rising to the occasion and they start showcasing their worth and showcasing their power despite all the backlash that they might get. And I absolutely loved The Daughters of Izdihar when I read it earlier this year. I was so excited to see that there was a sequel. There is, I believe, only this one. I don't believe this is going past a duology, but this one is very, very short. This is much shorter than The Daughters of Izdihar was, so I am a little nervous for that, but I am very excited to delve back into this world because I fell in love with the main characters and I just loved this world. This was the book that, when I think of ancient Egyptian kinds of feelings when it comes to a world building aspect, this is the series that I see that the most. This is the most ancient Egyptian feeling kind of world that I have seen thus far of anything that is claimed to have ancient Egyptian vibes. So definitely recommend, especially if you do like those kinds of feels in your world building, but also if you enjoy feminist-led stories. Definitely a great read. Very excited to finally finish this series and finally get to this one, which was one of my most anticipated reads of the year. And finally, for Llamas Readathon, there is a midsummer book, which is to read basically a summary book, and I decided to go with the graphic novel from my library, which is Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me. I picked this one mostly because of the summery colors that are on it, all the pinks and the light blues and the summery kinds of plants that seem to be around. Like, this very well could take place in a more tropical, or at least maybe southern United States area or something like that. But this is basically, from what I understand, about a female couple where they keep breaking up with each other and getting back together and keep breaking up with each other and getting back together, and it's kind of this exploration of the emotional trauma that kind of comes from that in some ways. I have heard some mixed reviews on this in particular, and so I am a little nervous to get into it, but I figured I would try it out for myself since it was available at my library, and we'll kind of see how it goes. But I have a feeling this may be my least liked book of the month, but I'm holding out hope for it to actually be really interesting and really fun, so we shall see. But without further ado, those are all of the books that I am planning on reading over the course of the month, other than anything that I end up reading for my unread book project that I have consistently going on over the course of every month. So there could be very likely more books added on top of this, but this is my absolute set TBR at the very least for the month of August. So let me know what you guys think about any of these books. Have you read any of them? Do you have any thoughts on them? Do you think I'm going to like them? Anything like that, or what are you planning on reading in the month of August? Are you participating in any of the readathons that are going on in the month of August? Let me know down in the comments. But thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already and I would like to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys!